Jay here, Full-Time Devils. This is the Full-Time Devils podcast. Joining me today are Dave Pritt, who's done lots of Full-Time Devils. You've seen him at the games, covers a lot of the under-23s for us and some of the Fancams as well. Angelina Kelly, of course, who does all our watch-alongs and some of our match reviews. And last but by no means least, Casey. Casey, who's been on the podcast before, haven't you, actually, Casey?
Yeah, I've been on the podcast before. I think there's a No Context United post from that podcast involving a Dybala chant.
Oh, yeah. That guy who sent us the Dybala.
That's been going round recently.
He's better than Suarez and Mane and Salah.
I said at the time.
I remember it. It was really good.
That was going to be a No Context United, and it has been for...
Yes, it was. If you've not seen that, don't even Google it. Doesn't matter. You're not missing much. And you're wearing a rather interesting top here.
Yeah, I'm wearing a sporting t-shirt, sporting shirt that I've had for a while. I haven't just bought it for Fernandez. But yeah, this is the closest I think I'm going to get to a Fernandez shirt. So
I was about to say there's more likelihood of you playing for United this season, I think, than Bruno Fernandes. Right, as we're recording this, I'm just going to recap quickly on what's happened so far this morning at Manchester United Football Club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's more or less dismissed talking. He's done his press conference. He's dismissed talking about transfers. He's claimed that Alexis Sanchez is going to come back and prove everyone wrong. And then we've had this story that I think a certain journalist who's not exactly popular on this show from the Manchester Evening News broke, where he said that Sander Berge, am I pronouncing it right? Doesn't matter.
We all know who he's on about,
some kid who plays for Genk was heading to Carrington, was actually going into Carrington for his medical.
He was waved in.
Yeah, he was waved in because he have a special wave for medicals.
Apparently.
He was waved in and then he went in, but then everyone started running with this. So, we're going to sign this Sander Berge, and everyone was Googling frantically, and all the so-called experts were like, I've loved him ever since he scored, check notes, against, I don't know, Anderlecht or whatever. Didn't happen. Turns out it was false. It wasn't him in this car going into the Carrington, it was someone else. So we're not signing him, so we can all stop pretending we know loads about him now.
Yeah. At least I don't have to research it now.
I know, it's just tiring, isn't it, researching these players. And, it looks like we're not going to sign anyone unless we get this Fernandes deal over the line, because we and you just talking, Dave, just before we started, we talked about Jude Bellingham, who we've been linked with. Apparently we put a bid in of 30 million, and even that don't look like happening.
No, but I don't think that's down to us. I don't think him and his dad really want us to come to United, because at the moment he is playing for the Birmingham's first team, and will he really get into our first team at the moment? He'd probably be stuck in the reserves or get the odd game. I mean, someone like Greenwood, he's already got 10 goals for us this season. I mean, he didn't start every game. Some games he didn't play at all. So you can understand why he probably wants to stick around or find a club where he's going to be playing every game.
Is that not indicative, though, of how far United have fallen, how far we done fell, that we can't even convince a guy, no disrespect to Birmingham City, but Birmingham City aren't exactly going to be, challenging in the top 5 of the Premier League anytime soon. We can't even convince a kid to come from Birmingham to Manchester United. We can't even get that over the line.
What happened when we were good as well? The Welsh player plays for Arsenal.
Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, Ramsey. Same situation with him.
But there's a difference there. I get where you're coming from, but the difference there, I think, was Arsenal are a big club as well. I don't say they're as big as Manchester United. They're not, but he had another offer. Wenger, I think, personally intervened and managed to convince not just Aaron Ramsey, but his family as well, that you come to us. I think I might be wrong here, but they might have done a loan deal where he went back to his club for a bit. But
he had the thing where when he joined Arsenal, he did play, whereas if he joined us, I don't think he'd have played as much. And so some players are not that bothered about the money and they want to play football.
Could we not, I guess second guessing it, but could we not do a thing where we say, all right, we'll buy you and loan you back for a season just to get him?
I mean, we could do, but the last time we did that was Will Sahar, so that didn't really work out well.
I feel like the problem is if the way that United are at the moment and how disjointed everyone seems to be, it's like he could be bought, loaned back for 2 seasons. In 2 seasons, United could have changed the transfer plans. They could have brought loads of people in. Managers could be different. They could be directors of football. It could be, well, I'm saying that wishful thinking. There could be a director of football, but there could be so much in place that means he doesn't get into the first team straight away as well. So he doesn't want to like set his career up for 2 years down the line based on United now. If it's not certain what it's going to be in 2 years,
you might just be thinking, maybe we want to move on in 2 years, but I'm going to stick around where I am and then see what options I have then. Because the options now, if he's not going to be playing, I don't see why he wants to move.
It just saddens me. Maybe I've got rose-tinted glasses on. I just think that the law, even if the mess we're in of Manchester United, would be enough to get a kid from the Championship to come to us. But Ange, do you think that is the problem now? Do you think it is a case of not just the long-term plan, but the fact the whole club looks a mess and it's just not attractive for a youngster or his family to say, you know what, we're going to send him there? Or do you think this is just him sort of, we know he's a Birmingham City fan as well, come through the ranks, that maybe that plays a factor?
I think it's probably a mixture of the two, because I guess I don't know if United were in the Champions League and were challenging, you know, in the top 3 or something like that, it would probably be a little bit more appealing to go. But at the same time, like you're saying, you know, sometimes people just want to play football, and if he supports Birmingham as well, it's where his family is, all that type of stuff. For some people, that means more to them. So I think it's probably a mixture of the two. I feel like if we were maybe doing a little bit better, there would 100% be more appeal, and not just to this one player, to a lot of other players there'd be a lot more appeal. But I think it could just be a case of somebody who just wants to play football, wants to kind of stay home and see how they get on. And like you say, you know, in the next 2 years, anything could happen and it could change for them.
In terms of Fernandes, you mentioned him a minute ago, Kay, saying you're wearing obviously your top in tribute to him, or in tribute to Nani.
Yeah. Greatest season from one player and then drop off in a while. Like from
Nani, he's just...
Where is he now?
He's at Orlando City.
Yeah, he's in America,
Love
isn't
it.
Or he might be back in Portugal. He's somewhere.
The thing with Nani is, right, you could make a highlights reel of Nani that makes him look genuine.
Oh,
like the greatest player,
amazing.
doesn't it?
He was good, but he was just so frustrating. That was his biggest
mate,
problem.
He was talking about it the other day.
In open
He was like-
space from 30 yards, greatest player ever. In front of it, trying to do a one-on-one, he's frustrated as
He
anything.
was just crazy as well. He just do crazy things like shooting from like 80 yards and stuff, and then
But sometimes he
shouting
went
at
in.
everyone else. Yeah. He always turned up against Arsenal. If you could play Arsenal every week, you'd be laughing.
He'd do them mad like backflips and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
he'd
wouldn't
then
he?
stand
Wasn't there
back
some
like-
rumour that Fergie had told him that like he's not allowed to do it anymore or something like that? I'm sure there was like,
Yeah.
he told him off like, you can't be doing it, you might hurt yourself, because he was so valuable, obviously.
Well, this is it. Yeah, because there was a lad at Portsmouth, one of you did one who got injured. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Came
What
on,
was his name?
scored,
Yeah.
did a flat flip,
Forgot about
got
that.
injured, had to come off, and Portsmouth are fighting relegation. I remember Harry Redknapp was going berserk on the touchline.
God.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think Fergie did ban him from
He'd
doing
been
it.
doing it in the reserves, Lodgy Ramazani.
Really?
I think 3 goals in a row doing him, and I think he'd been told to stop, and the next 2 goals after that,
I
he'd not
don't
been
think
doing
there's a
it.
need for a backflip, is there?
In the reserves. I don't know, in front of like Dave and his mate in the crowd, and that's about it. And you're doing backflips. It's like,
Dedicated
really?
to the
Doesn't look
back
good, though.
touches.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, listen, if I scored a goal at any level for Manchester United, I'd be doing if I could do a backflip, but I would do. But I
try
can't.
one.
Yeah.
You'd rather have Nani hitting it from 30 yards than Andres Pereira, really, wouldn't you? So
Yes.
Don't, man. I mean, if there's one player, right, we talk about it briefly. We did win 6-0 against Tranmere at the weekend.
Yep.
Good result against a crap team. No disrespect to them, but not the 21st in League One for a reason. And they just played 2 hours of football against Premier League opposition, albeit a sort of makeshift Watford team. And yet, even then, Pereira to me just didn't look good.
The thing is with him, I find, I get so frustrated with him because obviously I've watched him going in the 18s and reserves, and he's always looked better than what he is. He always looked too good for the 18s, too good for the reserves. But he does look like he can do it, but it's just decision making at some points is just awful. He shoots when he shouldn't shoot, and then we just said simple pass and he won't do it. He'll just drag it back, and it's just little things like that where it just gets so frustrating. But if he had a better head on him, I think he could be a decent player.
See, this is a problem. You can't really, give him a head transplant, can
No.
you? And I think he's 24 now?
Maybe
he's not
someone-
a kid, is he?
Maybe something to scream at him.
23, 24. He's been around, like you say, for a little while.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's ever going to get it. And I think he's had more chances than anyone at that level.
He's played quite a lot this season.
Yeah.
Like, he's had a lot of chances against a lot of opposition. At the end of the day, they're playing Tranmere. If even Jesse Lingard can manage to find himself a goal, do you know what I mean? Like, if even he managed to do that, then why couldn't Pereira at least
He's
look half
prolific
decent?
in the cup competitions, Jesse, I'll have you know. He's got one against the
Harry Maguire
Astana.
against
and
Tranmere
once against Tranmere.
popped up with a goal and an assist, and Pereira didn't really seem to.
It was like
the
Christmas,
names,
wasn't it?
the names
Delo
on that
got his
list.
debut goal, bless him.
Honestly, like the names on that score sheet, and
Jesse.
Pereira couldn't get on there.
It wasn't even that he couldn't get on there. It was the fact that he didn't play very well against him as well. He just kept giving the ball away. One pass went about 50
But
yards
that
away.
To be
takes
fair
it
to him as
to
well,
a
I don't
new
think
level.
he suited that pitch either. he's one of them players who need to
Why?
smooth it.
Because it's a football pitch.
Well, because he's Belgian, isn't he? But then he decided to be Brazilian, and so the Brazilians like they need a
You
nice
think that'd be like
carpet.
the perfect mix? You think you'd have a little bit, of Eden Hazard and a bit of Pele? But it's like we've got like Fellaini and Kleberson on a bad day. Yeah, going back to transfers, sorry to keep going on about it, but one thing that's popped up now is we're going to appoint a director of football.
Just popped up now.
Not popped up now, popped up recently. Antero
About 2
Henrique.
years ago.
Now, he's a former PSG director of football. There's talk of him coming in.
To be the PSG director of football is not really the greatest job the greatest job application in the world. It's like, what's your decision making? Well, I have a lot of money and this player's good. Let me just chuck it at him.
That sounds like tailor-made for United, that, doesn't it? It's like
we do need a
that
director,
sort of nonsense.
a director for football. I mean, I get criticised for saying this, but Woodward does a great job on one side of the game. His job is to get money into United, and he does that phenomenally. But he's terrible at the football side. He really is. And everyone's saying, get rid of Woodward, but you need to keep him in there making that money and just get someone else to 2 different roles, but just keep in the financial side and get someone in for the football side.
Is he doing as good a job, though, as you would say, in bringing in money? Because if you look at it, right, there was an article a few weeks ago comparing United to, I think is it General Electric? In the sense that for a club that size, the growth isn't that great. Because I think Ogden did a tweet or a post about the fact that the share price has gone up by 5p or whatever. But if you look over the last sort of 10 years, United hasn't grown. For a club that size, any business worth 4 billion quid usually grows at a sort of faster rate than United has.
But he's got, if you look at the sponsors he's got in, it's ridiculous amount we got now. Even like 2 seasons ago, we look at the back of the programme, all the people who sponsor us compared to what it is now. But we're not generating money, Champions League money and things like that. If we were at the top, we'd be rolling with it.
And also, didn't this start before Woodward came in, this growth? That he's just, because David Gill sort of
I think David Gill's overrated. I think he did a great job, but Fergie ran that club.
No, I get that. Or not David Gill necessarily, but the club, I think it was in 2004 or 2005, started, it was, even before the Glazers, it was starting to make sort of upward trajectory, and they've just sort of jumped on the back of that.
But if you look at some of the deals Woodward's got in, especially the position we're in and how bad we're doing, it's ridiculous, really, the money that's been brought in.
The trouble I have with...
But I like to say, the football side, he's dreadful, and he deserves all the criticism he's getting, but just stick him doing the financial stuff and get a football man.
I'll be honest with you, mate, I won't trust him to fucking run the canteen, let alone the club.
I kind of agree with Dave, because I feel like if he just kind of appointed a director of football and just backed off, never heard his name again, never came out and said anything, just maybe you saw him in the terraces occasionally, like every other CEO of every other club. Where you
on
don't,
the terraces with the with his scarf.
Yeah, but as in his
bother.
It's like you don't hear the name of hardly any other CEOs of any other clubs.
This is what I mean about the nonsense of this man. He's not even a CEO. He's an executive vice chairman.
Okay,
which is a title he created for himself.
I was going to say, is that a title?
No,
I didn't think so.
Made up. Well, the people in his position you don't see much of, or you don't hear much of. So if he just kind of backed off and he did his own thing and then just left the football alone, then I feel like United fans would eventually just forget about him.
There's also this story as well in there that it's not even just him. I mean, again, I'm not ITK, so don't quote me, but a few outlets were reporting that it was actually one of the Glazers that stopped the bid going up for Fernandes. Was it Joel Glazer or someone?
I think I heard.
Yeah, who actually had the final say on whether they say, yeah, okay, we're going to go with that bid or not. Which again,
that's the thing though.
It's worrying because
Woodward's just the face of it.
Joel Glazer know about Portuguese football.
When's the last time you actually heard any of the Glazers do an interview or ask about United? You don't hear anything from him. Woodward's the face of it, so anything they're doing, he gets the backlash from it.
He's kind of their scapegoat in a way. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but I guess when you think about it, if there's, like you say, you don't hear of any Glazer stuff, there could be a lot that he's maybe taking the...
But he makes a rod for his own back.
He does, 100%.
6 years ago, he said, we can do things in the transfer market that other clubs can only dream of. What the fuck have we done in the transfer market that other clubs can only dream of?
That's not the sort of thing you say before you start making biz. The sort of thing you say afterwards. It's like, yeah, we could do the things we only dream of. We've got these players for these reasonable prices, not beforehand. And then they're like, oh yeah, you can do things you only dream of. Well, this player that's worth 20, pay 40. Because
other clubs only dream of paying for Alexis Sanchez to play for someone else. Who does that? We fucking do.
I just don't think he appreciated
madness.
What Fergie did for the club. He wasn't just a manager, he run that club. And I think when he went and Gill went, I think Gill went because he knew I'll be in the shitter if Fergie goes. They left together because he knew they couldn't do it on their own. When Moyes came in, Moyes wasn't going to do right, lads, how do we run this club?
I wish I had followed suit and taken up following rugby. I get where you're coming from in the sort of the commercial thing, but then, okay, if we are making money, why have we not spent some of it?
The owners want it.
Why are we not seeing that, like other clubs, if you invest a little bit on the pitch, you're going to get it back in more money coming in, because we still can grow more than we have been.
Of course, but we're earning enough money where it doesn't matter to them because they've got an income.
Dividend.
And we've still got this debt that's been paid off. As long as that's been paid off and there's money to go back to them, I don't think they're that bothered.
Do you think a director of football, Casey, Angelina, you two, do you think that's going to make much of a difference?
I mean, I don't know, because then you kind of think, like, what is the role of a director of football? And there's so many different, like, oh, they're supposed to do this, or are they supposed to do this? So it'd be nice to know how it's actually going to fit in and work at United. But like you say, I think if there's somebody that can kind of be more of a face than Woodward, I think that would be good. I think it needs to be, I'm definitely not opposed to it, because at the end of the day, we need change. And if somebody's going to come in and maybe get some transfers happening, that's a good thing. I think it just more depends on who it is.
Casey, do you think it makes sense to bring in a director of football at the end of the transfer window, which is what is apparently being mooted?
I mean, it makes sense in the way of I would have liked it if we've made a couple of signings and then we're like, oh, we've got a director of football now, because January's not really one you make plans for. January's really reactionary. It's like, what do we not have? What do we need? Well, we need goals. So this midfielder scored a lot of goals this season. We'll sign him. That's what Fernandez. It's like, we're running low on midfielders, or we need someone to fill that role in, or we looked at Jude Bellingham, Vecino, all that lot. That's just to fill that hole. And then now we're needing a striker. It's a really reactionary window, whereas summer's the one that you plan for. You look at your team, you look at where I need to improve, where can I spend the money, and that's where I think the director of football comes in. But I feel like the thing with a director of football is everyone thinks it's going to be the fix-all. Like, oh, this guy's going to come in and he's going to be the massive guru, he's going to have control of everything. There are people in the club that are doing the role of a director of football. Now, like Matt Judge is apparently the person who talks to people. It all matters about, the thing is, director of football is like, I've got all the scouting reports. I got all the head scout. I basically take the job of a head scout. I get all the scouting reports. I look at them. I do what Matt Judge does. I pick the ones that I think United would be best for with the best price. I take the money off the club and then I go and buy them. So people are doing that now, but we're not signing anyone. We're haggling over 10 million for Fernandez, which I don't get. We're saying, oh, we're not worth it, Sporting need the money. But the fact is like, we're going to lose however much by not getting into the Champions League, by not signing this player. And the fact is like, yeah, Sporting are right, that other people probably will come in for him, because he is the best midfielder in Portugal. Like, he's probably the best player in Portugal at the moment. So it's like, it's such a weird situation that we're in, because it just seems to be there's some weird mentality in the club that we don't need to spend that extra 10 million because we can like force it out of them when we need that player. It's more the financial side's coming before the fact of it's a football club, you need those players.
There's reports, as we're recording this, that Barcelona are in for him.
I saw this. There was a report that Barcelona were in for him and they were going to loan him to Valencia in a deal to bring Rodrigo to Barcelona as a backup striker.
Right, okay, that makes sense. But I've always wondered with Fernandez, because you look, whenever I don't know a lot about him, but his stats are certainly impressive. The brief times I've seen him on the telly, looks good. But I've always wondered why no one else is coming for him. Why Barcelona or Real Madrid or any of the big clubs? Because there's a lot of clubs out there that are struggling in Europe, not struggling necessarily, but are crying out for someone like him, and yet we're the only ones who seem to be in for him.
I feel like he's got weird traits which I feel like would put clubs off him, like the sort of big clubs. So I mean, like, he's a hard worker. Obviously, he can play in a couple of positions. That's the sort of thing that we're looking at. That's why we want him. But I said it when we didn't sign him in summer. I was like, he takes so many shots from everywhere. And yeah, it's in the Portuguese league, so a lot of them go in, and some of them are trickling along the ground and they go in and sort of thing. But every time he takes a shot, if he doesn't go in, it's a waste of possession. And I feel like clubs like Barcelona, especially, and Barcelona, all the big clubs like Tottenham and all that sort of thing, are like, well, we don't want to lose possession. Possession is so important.
I think him and Fred in the same team could just be absolute carnage. Just shooting from everywhere and throw Pereira into that mix as well.
I'd rather have him.
No, but they can't be disrupting Fred's domination of the set pieces. and corners, because I just love the fact that Fred will just grab the ball and be like, yeah, free kick, how far away? Yeah, no problem. I've got it, guys. Everyone sit back. Corner, well, yeah, I'm on it. No problem. Like, everyone has got faith in me, so I'm not stressed because I'm going to go do the business.
It's mad that, like, and it, you know, to be fair, Fred has been playing well. So I'm not overly critical of him, but it is
just
mad how he does that. He thinks, I'll have this one, boys. I've got this one.
Step back.
Even after Marcus scored that absolute worldie against Chelsea, the next free kick, I think Fred was still like, nah, I've got this, Marcus. Don't worry. Marcus is like, what are you doing? You move. But yeah, Fernandez taking shots, Fred taking shots, and Pereira taking shots.
Love it.
I think
I'd be taking shots by the end of that. I'd be like, yeah, no, I can't watch this sober anymore.
I stand behind the ground, so I think I'll be wearing a cross helmet. Ollie has done his press conference. Now, we're talking about Woodward being a conduit for a lot of abuse from fans, and in my opinion, you know, I think he's an absolute disaster. And I also want him to go. I don't want him to move to the commercial side. I just want him to go. But I get where you're coming from to a certain degree. In terms of Ollie, he's getting a lot of flack off a lot of people who see him as a puppet. This is what's being said, not my words, for the owners. The latest press conference is probably, arguably, his worst one in terms of what he said, where, you know, we've got Sanchez who can come back in. How much of this lies with Ollie? The state that we're in. And when I say state, people go, well, we're fifth in the league, we're in the semi-final at the time recording, we're at the semi-final in the cup, we're in the Europa League. But we're miles off where we need to be, aren't we? We're miles off in terms of challenging.
I think he's in
title.
A tough position. Obviously, he's a legend of the club. He loves the club. Majority of the fans got his back because of what he did as a player, not as a manager. I think he's doing his best with the resources he's got. But I don't think... He's probably asking for things and he's not coming through with it, and he's just, instead of complaining about what he's not got and he's just trying to stay positive about it. But I think it's a level above him that's a problem. I don't. If he had the resources available, I think we'd do miles better.
What do you think, Ange? Do you have faith in Ollie?
It's one of those, it's like, what do people expect him to do in these press conferences? Like, if he came out and was like, yeah, you know what, I keep asking for things and it's not getting sorted out and it's really, like, pissing me off at the minute, like, but people would run with it, and then it would be, he's disloyal to the club, or he's not, you know, things like this shouldn't be discussed in front of everybody, like, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? I think he's he's between a rock and a hard place in that he's trying to be... I agree with you. I think the press conferences, they are... The
David Moyes-esque.
Yeah. 100%. But at the same time, I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, he could do better, I agree. But it's like, I think he's just trying his best to be respectful and kind of diplomatic about the whole situation, because, you know, you've seen with Mourinho, you've seen with so many managers and the media today, like, if you say one thing, like, they're going to run with it. Like, you're going to have to deal with, like, the repercussions of it. Like, if he said anything negative about a single player, like, that's it then. It's like, oh, Solskjaer and whoever at odds, blah, blah, blah. You know, it'll be another Mourinho, Pogba situation. And I just think there's a lot of repercussions on whatever he says, and he's trying his best to maybe be as careful as possible. So I kind of feel sorry for him, to be honest.
How much do you think, Casey, it comes into in being the opposite of Mourinho? Because Mourinho said, and there's this myth that Mourinho went and told the owners from day one. He didn't.
No.
He was quite happy until the end of his career. At Time United, sorry. Career, yeah, we could argue it is the end of his career, the way he's doing it at Tottenham. But yeah, he was quite happy until the last sort of few months when he started kicking off with the owners a little bit in what he was saying. And also the younger players. He was having a go at everyone. And Ollie came in and he's just been Mr. Positive. Do you think he's sort of running with that a little bit too far at times, just being the sort of the antithesis of Mourinho, or do you think he's got the right idea?
I feel like Mourinho didn't work because he's just a very controversial character. I'd say if he doesn't like you and he doesn't think that you're playing well, he'll tell you that. And I feel like
tell the fucking world that.
What we were looking for is someone who'd be like maybe a bit more positive to the players, a bit more trying to build them up. And we've seen players improve because of that. Like, we have seen different aspects of the team improve. We've seen Rashford improve. Seen Martial kind of improve his hold-up play in the middle, but that's a bit touch and go. But it's still an improvement from where he was last season. And then we've also seen, like, McTominay's taken the role as his own in the midfield. The one that always gets me online that I keep saying is, like, everyone's like, oh, Ollie should just come out in a press conference and say, I'm quitting, and then just slander all the owners. I'm like, he's obviously a guy who loves the club. Like, and this is the thing that I feel like is the main thing that people should support Ollie for. He's a guy who loves the club, and he won't come out and criticise people because then he'll get sacked, and then it will just get replaced with someone else, and it will just continue this way. I feel like he knows that the only way he's going to ever have a chance of sorting anything out is by being in the manager's seat. And yeah, he might have to say, oh, we'll have to do this, we have to do that. But he's trying to do the best he can in order to improve a club that he loves, obviously.
Has he got it in him?
I feel like...
I love Manchester United, I couldn't manage them.
I feel like he's got enough. I feel like the fact that he wants the club to succeed is enough for him to do at this moment in time. But I feel like any manager would struggle with what he has.
Totally agree. And you got to remember, he's been so unlucky. Our best player at the club been injured, and then the player that stepped in that role and doing a job, McTominay, injured. The guy who's getting the goals for us, injured. You know, what can anyone do with this team at the moment?
I do feel for him in that respect. You're right, Dave, because I think it Wolves away in the league. The last time he had his strongest 11 to pick from, which was August. And I think then you mentioned Martial got injured after that game. Pogba got injured. Then Marcus, he was absolutely flying.
McTominay as well.
McTominay, I almost forgot about him, which says it all. I don't think it's the volume of it, the number of injuries we've got. It's the players that are getting injured.
Yeah.
That's been the hard thing.
If
Isn't
the Luke Shaws and the people like that were getting injured, you won't be bothered. But it's the main players.
Pereiras of the world.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw actually did get injured.
That's how much we don't get. Pays me to say it probably did us a favour, didn't it?
But I was just thinking. Then you look back at like before this season started and players that we're all talking about, and I think Rashford, I think you have to give Rashford obviously the credit, but I think you've got to give Ollie the credit as well, because before this season started, a lot of people were like, right, Rashford and Martial, they've got to stand up and be counted. Rashford has got to be getting in X amount of goals. And the kid's doing it, do you know what I mean? And I think a part of that, you have to maybe look at Solskjaer, and I think he is giving him support that he probably needed. Players that have come in, and I think that's one thing about Ollie that for me comes across, that he does have the players' backs and he is supporting them. Brandon Williams coming into the team, he's clearly supported him well and he's doing so well. Who would have thought, maybe last season or a season and a half ago that Scott McTominay would be so pinnacle in our starting 11, do you know what I mean?
Are you talking about the inaugural winner of the Jose Mourinho Managers of the Year Award? Managers Player of the Year Award?
I mean, like the fact that you're saying, like, you got to give Ollie credit, because everyone before this season, everyone was like, it's either Rashford or Martial. One of them's got to be up front getting the goals, and then Ollie was like, well, if I stick them both on the pitch, they both can play together and they both can score, and that worked. And everyone before that was like, yeah, it has to be one or the other. All the fan base were like that, and I feel like he's bringing the best out of the players that want to be there.
Yeah. I think
he's even managed to bring something out of Fred. I mean, we didn't even know Fred existed for a long period of time. To be fair,
he's showed a lot of faith in Fred. I think, is it 14, 15 games?
Fred's like a wind-up toy. He just winds him up and just directs him.
I mean, he's not perfect, and I think, probably the players that are surrounding him are probably making him look a bit better than he is. But he's doing better than he was. Do you know what I mean? There's some kind of
Fred. I think
there's some kind of progression with him. Do you know what I mean?
So I'm not going to knock him. Yeah, I think, and you're right. I get it. He's shown a lot of faith in Fred. He's getting the best out of Marcus. He's getting the best out of the best, but he's sort of settled Martial in a role that he seems to be reveling in. But for every sort of positive that he's doing right, I also think there's worries and there's negatives. Like Lindelof's gone backwards. There's still questions. I know it's not Ollie's fault about the goalkeeper, but there are questions for me about David De Gea. I'm still worried, and I've never thought I'd say that. Maguire's not quite living up to expectation. No. Even someone like Wan-Bissaka, who was amazing when he started.
Start on Wan-Bissaka.
Well, I'm sorry, I know you love him, but even he's sort of lost his edge a little bit.
Yeah, he has dipped.
And I think that, yes, I get where you're coming from. Everything you've said about the positives, Ollie does deserve credit for, because other managers couldn't get a tune out of Rashford and Martial together. Other managers, wouldn't have stuck Brandon Williams in. Not a chance would they have done that. They wouldn't have stuck with Fred, and who was seen the best of. But other managers might be able to get better performances out of the likes of Lindelof, who I think is having a patchy season, of David De Gea. They'd be able to keep Wan-Bissaka at the levels that he started of. So it's very up and down. And the main problem I have with Ollie is I just think some of the things he says are just fucking ridiculous. I mean, I've supported Ollie, and I think, we've got to give him at least the end of the season. I've said that all the time, all along. But he should know better than to say some of the things he's saying in press conferences and interviews, because, the whole City one, the fact that they played their strongest team shows how far we're coming, or whatever it was, when they didn't, and it's embarrassing to say that. Losing to 2-0 to Liverpool and use that as a positive we only lost 2-0 to a team that you guys are all saying is the greatest team ever. You know Manchester United fans, you know how they perceive things, and you know when you say those comments, how they're going to come across in the media and how they're going to come across to the fans. And they're going to go down like a fucking lead balloon, which is what has happened. And that's a little bit part of the problem. People go, it's only words, it don't matter, but it does matter because it adds to this air at United at the minute that we're just a farce.
But we are, though.
Well, yeah.
It's not, we're not the team we were, and it's going to take a while to get to that. So you can't be saying, we're the greatest team in the world, we're doing this, we're doing that. It's got to be a bit realistic. And
I get that, and realism is fine, but then there's delusion or the stupidity.
With the Liverpool thing, you can't really come out and say, we're terrible, Liverpool amazing.
You don't have to say that. You don't have to say you're terrible. You can say, we had chances, we didn't take them, we gave it a game of it, but we're missing key players.
We're trying to put a positive spin on it.
But when you say, it shows, the fact that we've only lost 2-0 at Liverpool, when as United fans, you're thinking that's.
I know that, but he's just trying to put a positive spin on it.
I'd rather him make these comments than slate the team, because as we were saying before.
But does it have to be one or the other? Can you not be a happy medium?
I don't think.
I get what you mean. Like he didn't have to say like this person was crap, and he was like, as a team we just weren't good enough today. Or I get what you mean.
Saying City, the fact City play a strong team against us.
Something
shows how
you can't make positive.
I feel like
what are you on about, mate?
There is obviously like the measured response you can give, but I think sometimes it's like my players are going to get stick anyway, so I might as well just say something positive, and then if anyone gets stick, it'll probably be me.
This is the whole thing I'm going back to. I get where you're coming from. I do want a bit of positivity, but I think he's gone so far the opposite of Mourinho now, where he's 2 steps away from saying Phil Jones is the greatest defender I've ever seen in my life. It's just madness.
Did get a goal over there.
It did, yeah. He's prolific. Listen, I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking Phil. The derby is upon us. The Manchester derby.
I might just not watch it.
We're 2 goals behind. I mean, it's amazing that we're actually only 2 goals behind, considering the first 40 minutes against, or 35 minutes, whatever it was, against City at Old Trafford. Dave, do you have any hope of United going through to the League Cup final?
Not really, but I know it's the old cliche, it's a derby and anything can happen. I just think if they just got to go for it, really, because what else are we going to do this year? Realistically, I don't think we're going to get anywhere near top 4.
Do you not think that maybe the FA Cup or the Europa?
I don't know. I just don't think we're good enough. And this is just one game away from a final now. So if they can get even a 2-0, is it 2-0 or 3? I don't know what we need, but
it's not away goals, is it? It'll be even if it's 2-0. I think it's penalties.
There's an opportunity there if we just go for it. We haven't got the Rashford, and we haven't got the Pogba or McTominay, players like that, but I know it's only Tranmere, but it must give a positive vibe that we can score goals, and not being funny, some of them are good goals. And they might think, right, let's just go for it, have a few shots. I mean, it all could backfire. It could be 5-0 to City, but why not go for it?
Ange, do you think we've got any chance in the derby?
Try and be positive.
You can be realistic. You don't have to be,
I mean, your head's kind of saying no, because let's face it, like you say, we were lucky with the score in the last one. I think it's just going to be another embarrassing moment. I would love for it to be that I think the Tranmere game, it was great that we won 6-0, but I was a little bit annoyed that it wasn't more of a rotated team. Like when we did the preview and we were saying like it'd be nice to have seen a few more young players and stuff like that, but it was bringing on, players that will probably be in that starting lineup. I think it would have been. I mean, I'm grasping at straws here. If they'd have got more of a rest and not been in the Tranmere game, that means that they would play so much better against City. Probably not, but yeah, I mean, like you say, it's a derby. Anything could happen. If Wan-Bissaka's maybe on his A game, the other game when I didn't even realise Sterling was playing, he did have such a good game. If players like that can show up. But I think whatever happens, I think fans will probably have a bit more, whatever the result is, they'd have a bit more respect for the team if we actually just have a go. Do you know what I mean? Even if it ends up being a little bit embarrassing, the score, if you've seen players, having shots on target, if those stats are a little bit better, I don't know.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at this is how bad it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just if we go out but we have some shots on target.
Yeah, honestly, because when you've got no shots or corners, it's embarrassing. So grasping at straws to the max there, probably.
Casey, You were telling me before that you think we're going to win 4-0, didn't you?
I mean, I'm not saying we are. I mean, a minute ago I said I wasn't going to watch it. I probably will watch it because it's Derby. Like, I sat through it 3-1. That first half was painful. I feel like the fact is, like, there's nothing to lose in that situation. It's like, we don't have any pride.
The odds are against you.
The odds are against us. We have no pride. They've already beaten us 3-1. They've already battered us and knocked us about the pitch and that sort of thing. So if they beat us like 4-0, then what are they going to say? Oh, we beat you 4-0. It's like, congrats, you're better than us.
Is there nothing to play? Right? I know Ollie's under constant pressure, but if we went there and got absolutely battered, is there not a danger that these owners could just think, you know what, and the fans could really turn on Ollie? Because in the ground, it
depends how embarrassing it is.
Yeah,
the way we play as well.
Yeah,
if we just let us turn them over.
I mean, like if we're going out there and we're just basically just attacking, and then they're just countering us and scoring, then I'd be like, all right, fair enough. At least we're just trying to get the goal. Because the fact is we're 2 goals down. It's like if we go there and we try and play nice defensive football, and we're like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
we can't play defensive.
Put 10 men behind the ball and then City win 2-0. People will kick off, but if they go for it and we lose 3-0, it won't be as bad.
It's just a shame because I think, you mentioned all those injuries, and I think for me, the straw that broke the camel's back, if you'll pardon the pun, is just Marcus being out. I felt we had a slim chance with Marcus. Even in the home leg, he was causing problems.
You'd like to think he'd at least get a goal.
Yeah, and I just think with just Martial on his own, and either Mason
they've got to take a risk
James.
with Mason starting him, because remember in Rashford's start of his career, he scored the winner against City. He was only right at the start of his career and similar age to Mason. And Mason's already got 10 goals this season for the first team.
Fantastic.
Just play him. Just play him in Marcus's position. And then what's the worst that can happen? That he'll have shots. Might maybe get a goal. It's no good on the bench.
There's been you're probably going to hear it at the Etihad. There's been a lot of chants, a lot made about these chants. I think it's been blown out of proportion a lot in the media. Everyone's kicking off about it because of some of the lyrics that are being used. What do you make of the anti-Glazer, anti-Woodward chants?
Same as it was like 10 years ago, isn't it? It's just
people are like kicking off about chants that we've said about other people for years, and now all of a sudden it's an issue, like the Build a Bonfire one. Like, all of a sudden it's disgraceful and it's an outrage, and it would be, we were saying that about City and Scousers, and now you're saying it about the Glazers, and it's.
Well,
like,
I remember the very first Green and Gold Garth campaign. They were singing similar songs to that, and no one was saying anything, being praised if anything.
Yeah,
it's just I think the world's just changed.
What do you make of it, Angie? The chants and the reaction to them?
I do get what you mean. I think it has been blown out of proportion. When you look at like things that have been going on, I think there's a lot worse said in other football clubs. To be honest, obviously it's not nice talking about burning people. I guess if you look at it that way,
you look at it roll down, you think, oh yeah,
that's a little bit.
But no one's going to the shop to buy a pack of matches, are they? It's
it's like Nemanja doesn't murder people apparently. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And
people are expressing themselves.
Dwight York isn't the king of pornography officially. It's just
just unofficially. Yeah,
I just feel like sometimes, like, really, and it's not even the chance. It's the reaction I think has been OTT where people are like losing their mind about it. And I'm like,
because at the end of the day, people are expressing themselves in whichever way. I think people have got a right to be angry. People have got a right to express themselves. And it's just, I do agree. I think it's been blown a bit out of proportion.
Casey, what do you make of it?
I mean, as Ange said, I don't really think that it's a nice thing to be chanting about. I don't, like, it's a bit of a weird time. Like, this is the time where we draw the line. Like, a lot of the reporters have been like, you shouldn't be chanting about you shouldn't be chanting about putting on bonfire. Fair enough, but we shouldn't be chanting about putting anyone on bonfire then. But just this is where you've decided to bring it out. And then the fact is, like, and then they're like, you shouldn't be like chanting about the Glazers and all this sort of anti-Glazer stuff. I'm like, okay, that's taking it a bit far, because the fact is that, yeah, we can chant about the Glazers, and if people are annoyed with the Glazers, then they can chant about whatever they want. They can say what they want. They're just expressing their frustrations. It's just how it's been handled by the media is a bit weird.
I get where you're coming from. I think it has been, as I said earlier, it's been blown out of proportion. It surprised me a little bit, because some of the chants I've heard over the years at Old Trafford, where you think, really, like Shinji Kagawa's Grandad bombed Pearl Harbor and stuff like that, and you're like, no one ever bothered with it and making. And now this, it's like. It's not just one or two. It's like half the media.
Yeah, it's like this is where we've suddenly drawn the line. It's like, well,
it's like the Dalglish one. There's a tavern in your town.
Yeah, exactly.
And no one's ever.
That's a good point.
At the end, postman.
Sir Kenny Dalglish, and we're talking about like hanging him or whatever. And it's like no one really kicks off that. But yeah, now it's like Ed Woodward. I'm not condoning saying you're going to kill someone before anyone sort of starts getting all sanctimonious in the comments. I'm not saying that. My point is, to me, the reaction from the media seems a little bit OTT.
And I think there's a lot worse that is said. It'd be nice if the media maybe took, the racist chants that you hear, if they took them as seriously as they're taking something that is obviously not safe. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people are obviously not going to... Yeah, exactly. And it's things that have been said, for a while, versus something where it's actually, a lot more serious.
You could get offended by... And I know there are offensive chants. Like you said, racist chants are offensive and other chants. But, like, I've seen people slagging off the Georgie Best chant because, Georgie Best was an alcoholic.
Yeah, I know.
So what happens then? No one chants about anything. Best,
but the thing is... we're talking about going up to heaven to have a drink with someone. It's not real. No. It's a jokey song. Do you know what I mean? And it's
but then, where do you draw the line?
No one's going to buy a bucket with a big hole in it.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's the thing. At the end of the day, like, where do you draw the line? So what? There's like no chance now. Like,
I've seen 15-year-olds at Old Trafford singing, we took the cop in Chelsea too, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I get that you have to have a limit. I'm not saying you can go and just start chanting horrible abuse to everyone, but I do think a little bit of it has been blown out of proportion. And I wonder how much of it is this sort of PR thing now, because people are pointing out Neil Ashton has become Ed Woodward's PR.
I just think
he's got mates in the media, and as this sort of...
I don't necessarily think it's United.
And said, come on, let's get behind Ed.
I just think it's the way the world is now. Even like some things like Twitter, something you could have said 10 years ago gets hounded now. Something simple, and it's just the way the world is now.
Well, someone got, who was it the other week? Was it Trevor Sinclair? Who's a donut anyway, who says horrible things, but he said something about bin dippers, didn't he? And he had to delete it, or rats or something. He had to apologise, which... I think Trevor Sinclair just apologised for everything he does, to be honest with you. He's an absolute disaster class on social media and generally in life from what we gather. But he was saying that, and then, years ago, or for many years, people were tweeting all the time. Not necessarily me, but, and it wasn't that. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. We're going to wrap up. Before we do, we'll have our Wally of the Weeks. Casey, I'll start with you. Who is your Wally of the Week and why? In fact, just before we do Wally of the Week, quick fire one. Are we going to sign anyone in January?
Yes.
Who?
Striker on loan, but I don't know who. Oh God, this is.
Give us the name now.
This is pressure. Just a striker on loan. I'd say the closest this probably is that's Lamani or someone in that mode, but I don't know.
Right.
No, I don't think we're going to sign anyone.
No.
I agree with you too.
I'm just going to be positive.
Right.
Positively on this end.
Wally of the Week.
I'd go with the Tranmere keeper. That was just fantastic. The fact
Scott Davis.
Oh yeah, the
He's a massive friend of the channel.
The massive City fan who's like that. It's not even like he let in 1 or 2. He let in 6.
Matt, a few of the lads that went to the game were chatting to them, and they were saying he was really getting rattled. He kept chanting City to them and stuff like that, and they were really getting under his skin.
It was a fantastic that every single goal went in the same place as well. It was
with all the nonsense he was talking about his City underwear and before the game, and it means so much to me. And then Scott. Don't worry though, mate. You've got a nice relegation battle to look forward to, so it's not all bad news. Enjoy League 2. Go on, mate. Who's your Wally of the Week?
Probably the Tranmere chief groundsman.
Tell you what, it's the first time the Tranmere goalkeeper and Tranmere chief groundsman have been our Wally of the Week.
Well, the state of that pitch, the way it was being on TV, you want to show the best of your club on a pitch like that. And not only that, the women were supposed to play there a week ago, and that got called off because of the state of the pitch. It's just... For a professional football team to have a pitch like that these days, just horrendous.
I thought you might have gone with the officials at the women's derby. That was a bit of a stinker on it, from what I gather. Yeah. VAR might need to come in.
I'll leave that. Just go line technology will do. But
all right, go line technology. Angie's your Wally of the Week.
I don't know.
Anyone from Tranmere left?
Yeah.
I was going to say...
The tea lady at Tranmere. She's a disgrace.
Slender. Joke. No. I was going to go with the goalkeeper just because of the stuff I was reading.
You can have the same one.
I'll have the same one then.
Most of us say Ed Woodward every week. So
I can't really think of anyone else who's irritated me, which is quite rare actually. So
I had a list like the phone book, if I'm being honest. But I'm going to go with Jurgen Klopp. Right, and I know this sounds bitter, and all these scouts who bizarrely seem to comment on our videos, and City fans will be like, because they tend to get involved as well when we slag off Pep Guardiola. I'll be like, oh, you're just jealous, you're just bitter, right? Jurgen Klopp has said that he's not gonna manage the team for his 4th round replay. He's gonna let not even his assistant, I think it's his youth coach or the academy coach manage
that's
it.
disrespectful.
And he's gonna have like a reserve team that goes out. And he's moaning about the FA Cup and the replays and stuff like this. And it's like, mate, you've not even won yet a domestic trophy in England, and you're complaining about it and saying we should scrap this and change this and trying to sort of rejig it all.
It's the way every
What are you
other
moaning
club has
about?
dealt with it. You know, every other club that's won the Premier League have had to, you know, deal with
I won't
cup
mind.
games.
He could
get
rest his
over it.
entire Premier League team now forever because they're going to walk the league this season.
You know what? If everyone was injured and he was proper struggling, then you could maybe understand why he was bitching and moaning about it. But it's like at the end of the day, like you say, you can play your reserve team and you'll probably still win, mate. Like, chill out. It's absolutely fine.
I agree with him up to a point. I was like, yeah, this winter break's coming and everyone, the Premier League have made a big deal. It's like, you've got to give your players a break. I mean, this is like how they're doing it. They've added it in, and I get that sort of thing. But it just seemed a bit petty when he was like, I'm not managing it. And my assistant's not
And
managing
it's just
it. Someone else
disrespectful
can
as well,
manage
I think, to the team that they're playing. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, to be honest with you, I see these Shrewsbury fans running onto the pitch to get selfies with Dejan Lovren. I think, you know, you read what you sow, to be honest with you, sometimes. But yeah, it's like Guardiola was saying it about the League Cup, one thing about get rid of the League Cup or something along those lines. It's like, you know, you're not here to change football in terms of tournaments.
Tear up years of English football history.
Deal with it. Fergie dealt with it every year. We did the treble.
How else are we going to get into Europe?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, after the City game, we'll probably wish we did abolish the League Cup.
He's gone about abolishing the League Cup, but he keeps getting to the final every time. He's like, oh no, it's such a
all right now.
It's such
like
a terrible competition. He's just holding the trophy. It's such a terrible competition. I hate it so much.
He got a bit annoyed, I think, when we won it that time. His first season, we knocked him out, didn't we? And we went on to win it. And I was at the press conference where he got asked about, when we used to win trophies, and he got asked about it after we'd won it. And he got a bit annoyed because people were saying to him, "Do you wish you'd put a stronger team out against United?" Now they've won their first trophy. And it's only February. You know, do you wish you'd have done something similar? And I don't know if that got in his head or if he just wants to get a trophy in early. But to be honest with you, any of the top two, Liverpool or City, they've got the squad. They've spent enough money and they've got enough players that they should be able to compete on many levels. Dave, where can people find you?
YouTube and Instagram at David Pritt and Twitter, David J. Pritt.
What are you up to this weekend? Are you going to, is there anything happening? Or are you just going to go at the Wolves game? We've got Wolves, haven't we, a weekend, which we've not even mentioned.
I'm going Norwich on Friday. Can't get down there for the reserves. I'm going to Blackburn 18s in the morning, then Wolves in the afternoon.
You're not going to Norwich, you absolute part-time bastard. Call yourself a United fan.
I know.
Oh my God, I don't even know that. I wouldn't even had you on here. And where can people find you?
Just Angelina Kelly on Twitter and Instagram, that's about it.
Right, that's an original name.
Yeah, I know.
And Casey?
Twitter at Casey_Evans_. It's complicated, I can't get my phone name.
A lot of underscores.
And then Instagram is at CMEvans198. And also I'm sporadically on Stretford Paddock if you want to go and watch that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of madness going on over there as well. We've not touched on the Wolves game, we don't know. We're going to win, but we always beat them. But don't forget to give us a like on iTunes. We're on Audio Boom, on Spotify. Am I missing anything? Producer Nick, is that it? No. Lost count. Yeah, you know where to find us. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe and a review if you can. Also on YouTube as well. I've been Jay. This has been the Full Time Devils podcast. Thanks for watching.